UFC featherweight contender Josh Emmett. Thank you for coming back. It seemed like we just spoke a couple weeks back, and you didn't have a fight, but now you do, and it's a big fight, man. How you feeling?
Feel good. Yeah, no, I know we just talked probably like 2-3 weeks ago, right? Like probably right before I got the call to fight Burgos. So yeah, it's a big fight, like you said. I think for both of us, I feel like the winner of this really gets that next push, and yeah, so I'm stoked to get back in there and fight during these times, like I said before, and it's going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to be a good one. I think fans are more excited about this fight than they were with the other the fight that was supposedly going to happen.
Yeah. Speculations, so many speculations flying around, but there's no speculation about this. I saw that for this will be the last fight on your contract, or did you re-up with the UFC with this fight booking?
Yeah, so I re-upped with them, signed a new deal. Yeah, so I was happy about that too, because that's the whole thing. When I was fighting Arnold Allen, the only reason I took that fight because I was going to fight out my contract and test free agency. And then here we are. I got a bigger, better fight, bigger name. Yeah, just he's has a lot of hype behind him. Everyone's saying he's the next big thing and stuff. So tough test, but yeah, I get to go out there and do my thing, and yeah, now I was happy to ink a new 4-fight deal with the UFC.
That's nice. Now, right now, currently, there's a lot of fighters, at the top of the food chain. You're right there too. They're negotiating with the UFC, and there's a lot of back and forth on the social media and on interviews. Was there any level of frustration for you throughout the last, say, 5 months of negotiating, trying to get a better contract?
Yeah, I think so. It's like no matter what, we're always going to want more money. And I saw the interview Dana White did, and of course, yeah, everyone wants more money. But I feel like for the sport that we're in, and being like professional athletes, and having all these other superstars I'm talking about NFL, NBA, like A-list celebrities, they're huge fans of the UFC, of us. They come to the events. I feel like we should get compensated a lot more. Just because our sport is so dangerous too. And it's like you could have, your career could be over in a freak accident in practice, and then of course in the fight as well. So it's just tough. It's a tough subject for sure. But also when we're putting everything we possibly have into this, and we go to work, and we're trying 100% to win the fight, and say you don't win the fight and you get half your check, I feel like something there kind of needs to change. If it was a bigger just show money, that'd be awesome, or just bigger contracts, or like if they do some type of, like the NFL, the NBA, the way that they, a lot of their revenue goes to the athletes, and in this case for us, it's all goes to the owners and the investors, and the actual athletes doing the fighting and putting their lives on the line. Just get a small fraction. And at least the superstars you're talking about in the UFC, they get a much larger piece. But for, people like myself, and especially people that are just getting into the UFC, their first contract or second set of contracts, it's just peanuts.
Yeah, but like you said, the superstars are coming out. They're being more transparent with what's going on, and that's a step forward. You getting a deal that you want, that's a step forward too. I mean, it's all like moving forward, moving towards the goal of getting more money, and it's starting to work out. I feel like these guys understand now, and maybe they're gonna play ball, but who knows? Dana White's Dana White. You know what I mean? He's
hopefully. At least something, because it's like if someone was like, my career was over tomorrow, it's like, I feel like a lot of it would be just for nothing. If this was my last fight coming up, I felt like it's, I wasted most of my life. It's like, being an athlete and then pursuing this for over a decade, you know what I mean? And then if it's over, it's like, I don't really have much to show for. But you see some of those guys that if you're sitting on the bench in the NBA or the NFL, and you're doing that for a few years, you're doing well. You know what I mean? And those guys that sit the bench are doing way better than the top athletes in the UFC.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna take a few years but it's gonna
Yeah,
happen. It's gonna happen for the
hopefully.
UFC. Now, you were pulled from your Arnold Allen fight with an injury earlier this year. I think end of January that fight was supposed to happen. What exactly happened, and how was the recovery from the injury?
Yeah, I got injured in practice,
Mm.
kind of a freak accident, and yeah, I just had to just recover because I couldn't have fought, and so that's why we still took off and went on the trip, came back, and I felt good, got back into practice, and yeah, everything's going perfect. It's just our sport. How do you get better fighting? You fight. We wrestle, do all these stuff. You just can tweak certain things and just get banged up while doing it, unless you're just doing a lot of technique. But I do try to like simulate the fights, and I go hard in training. So I'm kind of my kind of worst enemy, like, and that's mental, physical, because I'm going too hard to where I will hurt myself, or it's just even the mental part too. It's like, you're I'm my worst critic. Like I feel like I know what I can achieve and I know what I can do. So I'm always like pretty tough on myself and my coaches and everything, they know. So it's funny, especially during the end of camp and fight week, or if I don't do something perfect or I have like some bad rounds, I'm like, oh, that was horrible. And then they're like, oh, okay, calm. They're calling me like Eeyore, my like always moping around, but I'm not. I'm just like more of a realist. So I feel like
Mm.
if I didn't, hold up to, my potential and stuff like that, I'm just tough on myself.
Do you believe that that characteristic that you have, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't be where you're at right now?
Yeah, no, I 100% think that way. I've always been this way, even in wrestling and stuff like that. I just know what I can do, and I strive for like perfection. And I know fights and other things aren't going to be perfect, but when it's not, I don't know, it's not to that level. Yeah, I've always done that since a young age, and I feel like that's gotten me to where I am, and yeah, it's just constant. I'm just playing those like mind games with myself, but I'm not one to, I'm definitely confident. Like I know what I can do. I am confident, but I'm not cocky, because I feel like if you're overly cocky, you're overly confident, that can bite you in the ass too. And then if you don't, set out to do what you've been saying all this time, then you kind of just look like a jackass too. So it's like, it's just kind of the way I am, and I've always been, and I'll continue to be.
Your last three fights, they've been highlight reel finishes. This matchup, the fans, you said earlier, they're hyped. They're expecting a certain level of violence. Does that ever play in your mind in a fight, the pressure to perform and be exciting?
Uh, yeah, like man, I'm every sport I played, like I want to be exciting. I want to be entertaining. And even when I was wrestling in high school and college and stuff like that, people loved to watch me wrestle because I was exciting. And that's something I do aim to please in fighting. I like I've said 100 times, like I know what the fans want to see. I do want to be exciting. And then since I'm not that way with like all the trash talking and stuff like that, when I don't know certain guys and stuff, I'm not going to talk bad about someone I don't know. Um, so when I am on the card, I want the fans to know that, man, this is going to be a hell of a fight. So yeah, I definitely want to perform well, and I think I always do, and I'm always exciting and entertaining. That's why I just have to get to the fight and not let injuries get in the way, or I like fighting in the summer because I don't really have to worry too much about being sick and
Yeah.
knock on wood, I haven't ever had I've had like a cold one time, and it was hard. That like messes with your breathing and everything. So I'm always just like, I got to get to the fight injury free, or somewhat injury free, and no like sickness, cold, flu, whatever. And so yeah, and I'll perform, man. Even though I've been sitting out for a year, I've been working hard, and when the lights are shining, and especially the world's around watching, like, no, I will yeah, just shine bright and put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, speaking of pressure and highlight reel finishes, your teammate Cody Garbrandt just got one of the craziest. I don't even know. It's almost like a street knockout. Like when you watch somebody in the street and they're just kind of like
Yeah.
playing with the guy that they're fighting, and he just knocked him out. What was your reaction when you saw that?
No, I was super happy for him, because he's had a tough little road here, and
Hmm.
people were counting him out and stuff like that, and man, I knew he could do that. Like I knew he could knock Ascenso out. I know how fast Cody is. I know how athletic he is. So we were just talking the other day, and I was just like, man, I was like, just one round at a time. Like literally, he could outclass him with the jab if he wanted to. He could literally win 3 rounds by a decision on jabs. Just move around, but definitely get in and out. Use 1, 2, maybe 3 punches and get out. It's a fight. You are going to get hit. Just kind of let your emotions, just realize you're going to get hit. And when you do, don't you just can't get angry or like overzealous and come in. Um, yeah, you just have to be smart in there. And that's exactly what he did. Like that fight was easy for him. Like he, he wasn't breathing hard. He was just moving around, especially how hard he's been training. He probably could have won 10 rounds at the pace that was going. But yeah, no, super happy when he got that finish, and especially in the way that he did. It's awesome. It was like the buzzer beater. He hit the
Yeah,
game winning shot at the NBA finals.
exactly. It's MJ, at the buzzer right
Yeah,
there. But yeah,
exactly.
it's incredible that he got back with that type of finish and with so much pressure, because he was a former champ. And I could
Mhm.
only imagine the pressure that you go into with the media and the critics and social media. They're all basically dissing him throughout the past
Yeah,
3 fights, and he goes in there and just shuts everybody up. It must feel great for him, man.
yeah.
Now your camp, man, you guys, your team Alpha Male has been fighting. You guys had what, Song Yadong, then you had Cody.
Darren
Now you
Elkins
and Andre are about to fight. So
and
basically,
Clay.
is Andre your main sparring partner or your main? Because you guys are limited, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we've been close since March 19th, but we've been getting our work the entire time. Like I was saying before, I was doing a lot of one-on-ones with my coaches and my strength coach and just everyone. And then we got our small group together when Song and Elkins were fighting. So we were training. We were sparring. We were doing practices with the coaches, and just our one-on-one stuff like the whole time. But Andre's always been one of my main training partners, and vice versa. I can give him a good look. He can go ortho and southpaw. He's tall, long, continues to evolve and get better every fight. So you guys are in for a treat when he fights this coming weekend. Yeah, I'm excited for that. And yeah, so we've been getting after it. So even though I got the Burgos fight on a 4-week notice, it's different when you're training just to like, oh, I'm possibly going to get a fight here soon. Um, it is a little different because you're like doing all this stuff for a maybe. But as soon as I got the call, it's sooner than I would have liked. Of course, 4 weeks. But I'm like, man, I'll make it. I'll make it happen. I'll make it work. And then I just kind of flip the switch and I'm all in. And just I've been, man, I've been getting after it for these 2 weeks, and I still have 2 weeks to go. So this will be my last hard week of training coming up, and then fly out to Vegas a week from Tuesday and start the fun old weight cut.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The momentum is there. They're all coming off wins, and if Andre goes out there and performs, he'll get a win too. Yeah, I feel like momentum with the small group, it's key, right? Like you feel it. Like after
Oh
Cody gets
yeah,
the knockout, you feel that you're ready to go there Monday and get after it.
and that's what. Yeah, Clay and I were just talking. He just shot me a text because watching the fights last night, and he's like, man, Cody got us started, and we were saying you're going to go ahead and start us off because we're all fighting in June. Cody just got that huge win last night. Andre's up. Clay and I are both on the 20th, and then Sarah fights the 27th. So it's like we got 5 fights in a month for Team Alpha Male, and we're hoping to have a clean sweep. So no, it definitely like kind of lights that fire. And today's my off day, so it's like I'm off, but I was super pumped last night. So after his fight, I went out in the garage and I put another hour in on the treadmill. And then I have to take today off, but it's hard because like I want to go do some stuff, but I'm like I know I just need to recover because that's super important as well. So and then I'm gonna hit it hard tomorrow.
Well, with Burgos, he's riding high. He's got some steam. He's building a following for himself. But what
Mm-hmm.
separates you from him?
I just think that look at the resume and everything, and he's a talented. Don't get me wrong, he's he's a really good fighter. He has a high output, high volume. He's a big featherweight for the division, but also he's a BJJ black belt. So everyone thinks he's just a striker, but he's really good on the ground. He has good takedown defense. But I think stylistically, I think I'm a dangerous matchup for anyone in the division. And I think the way that he kind of approaches the fights to what I can do, I just, when we're on our feet, it's like a coin flip, 50-50. He can land a big shot and it be over. I can land a big shot, it can be over. But I think the way he comes forward, and I'll be throwing big punches, and I will connect in 15 minutes. So it's like, I just think it stylistically makes for a great, exciting fight. But I can dictate where the fight goes. I can put the fight anywhere I want it to go. And yeah, we're just gonna. Yes, I'm excited for it. It's, like I said, it's gonna be a tough fight. But I need to just go in there and make another statement. I feel like I'm an underdog again. I feel like every damn time I'm an underdog, and I don't know who makes these. But it's funny though, because a lot of people are like, yeah, at least you're making me money. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I'll do it again. So.
Do you see any similarities with him and past opponents?
No, I don't think he's like, someone was trying to say that they compare the most similar was who he just fight, Calvin Kattar. I don't think Calvin Kattar and I are similar at all. He's tall, long. He does have power. He's a really good fighter, but yeah, I don't think he's fought anyone like me. I know he hasn't. And especially, you can watch fights and do all this stuff and think, it's going to happen, but it's completely different when you get in there with me. It's and same thing. I respect the hell out of him, because I see what he does. He has one loss, and that's to Kattar, and it was such a close fight until he got caught in the third. And he's undefeated as an amateur with all these submissions. So he's good. He's young. He's hungry. But yeah, it's different. Just like my coaches always say, it's like they're gonna know they're in for something as soon as I hit them. And it's the same thing with me. I like to get in there. I have to see. I like to get hit first because I want to see how hard they hit. I want to see how fast they are, and when we lock up and stuff, I can kind of see how strong they are. So I don't know. I don't know how good he is just by watching his fights until him and I are in there. And it seems like for every fight I've had too, and I've probably told you this before, and my coaches say it all the time, I always give my opponents way too much respect, and they're in my coaches' eyes and minds. But it's, man, he's one of the top fighters in the world. Like, anything can happen. So of course I'm going to give him all that respect. He is that good. And then when I get in there, if it's different, or it's, a lot of times it's been in my favor. I get in there, they hit me, I'm like, oh, that's it. Or I can see everything, the speed. I'm like, oh, that's not that fast. And I spar with my buddy. We just put in 10 rounds the other day, and he's a professional boxer. Everyone that I fought, nobody hits harder than him. No one has a higher output, higher volume than him. So that's gonna, help a ton. And I know Burgos has great striking. His boxing is good, but I guarantee it's not as good as my buddy that's a pro boxer.
Yeah, you've been in there with Michael Johnson, and in my opinion, Michael Johnson has probably the fastest hands, or one of the guys with the fastest hands in the UFC, right? And you felt that speed, so I feel like if you could gauge that, you could gauge anything.
And I know, Burgos isn't going to be as fast as Johnson, and even though if you watch that fight and commentators and just watch the fight with the sound off, he doesn't really touch me that much. I could see everything, and I was slipping and rolling the punches. And I did not think he was that fast. As soon as, and I was thinking, because I see everything that you guys do, he's knocking out some of the best guys, and he is fast as hell. So I was just thinking, man, this is going to be the fastest guy I've ever fought. I don't think I've ever, sparred someone with this kind of speed. But when I got in there, I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. And I would slip and throw back, but he was so good at getting out that I would whiff, miss big, but it wasn't. And then the power, I just feel like sparring boxers, they hit different, and it's just different. You know what I mean? I can't describe it. Someone that has sparred boxers, they know exactly what I'm talking about. The volume they throw and the power is completely different. So, yeah, and when he hit me too, I was like, And that happens a lot. Like even with the Lamas fight, the Bektik fight, I just knew it's a matter of time. And just I do some type of tendencies, and my coach can see, and he knows when I do this certain things. Like, oh God, he knows. I'm feeling him out, and then I'll just start, putting on him. But I don't know until I get in there with Burgos. I'm expecting he's going to hit hard as hell. He's going to be fast. He's going to be long. He's going to use his reach. He's a great striker. He goes to the body. But like I said, I'm not going to know until he hits me, until he cracks me. So I'm looking forward to that. As crazy as
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds, looking forward to getting hit by him and then seeing.
Yeah, reacting, right? Adapting. And like you
Exactly.
said earlier, it only takes one shot. Like in the Michael Johnson fight, everybody was kind of like, what's going on in the first 2 rounds? And then that third round came and it was just like, boom, in a flash, it was
And I
over.
feel like
So,
I can put anytime, 4 or 5. I've fought 5 round fights at a high pace, all this type of stuff. And I know Burgos has a great gas tank, but I can match that. I can have a, my, I can match that. Like my endurance and stuff like that is, that's one of my biggest attributes too. And all the miles and stuff like that, and that I put in. And, I don't, I can speculate, but I don't think he's doing as much as I'm doing. I can promise you that.
this is gonna be, man, it's great matchmaking, and like you said, it makes sense in the division, and whoever comes out on top is moving forward no matter what. Thank you, Josh, for the
Hmm.
time, and good luck on the fight. Good luck on everything that's going on in your life, and yeah, co-main event. It's always good to be co-main event.
Yeah, no, it's going to be awesome, especially all eyes on us. And yeah, it's going to be yeah, exciting times. It's going to be a little odd with no fans, but I'm looking forward to that too. A little different, It's yeah, I think just to be a part of all these type of things, like different experiences, So that's why I want to, pull this off and then go fight on this island. And then if they got any other crazy place, sign me up too.